This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael, I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen Animal Crackers, a comedy film from 1930 directed by Victor Heerman and starring the Marx Brothers. Unfortunately, the movie doesn't really focus on them all that much, or at least doesn't seem to put them to their greatest potential. The story focuses more on the greater events around a party being held to celebrate the return of Captain Spaulding, played by Groucho Marx, from a recent African exploration. As he and his crew cause a ruckus, trouble arises when the centerpiece of the party, a newly acquired painting from a famous artist, goes missing just after its unveiling. After that, it's mostly back to antics. And there's a few songs in this movie as well. The story here is pretty light, really, with a plotting structure to match. There are Marx Brothers antics, there's a story scene with a bunch of other characters, the Marx Brothers show up again, there's another story scene, rinse and repeat. It's an easy pattern to pick up on, and it gets kind of annoying, especially since it also brings about an ebb and flow in the presence of the Marx Brothers, trading off with other cast members who have simple character arcs and non-complex personalities. On the bright side, that is at least helped out by the fact that everybody in the movie is pretty much an archetype just for the sake of letting the film's comedy and music shine more. Speaking of which, the movie is based on a stage show, and it appears that they adopted the tactic of taking a pause after jokes to let the audience laugh, which works in real life, but feels out of place in film. I'm not sure what they were thinking, really. Actually, a lot of the movie seems to stick closely to these stage roots. Animal Crackers is pretty plain in its cinematography and sound design, clearly influenced by stage direction and techniques. Shots are very static, with most scenes being done in very few takes and with very little cutting, and almost always being shot in wide or medium shots that keep everybody on set in the frame or at least visible. Not to mention that characters themselves are often placed in a way that puts the main players up in front while everybody else takes a step back. Again, a traditional theater convention. The film's story is also centered around only a few major set pieces, which do have a rather lavish design but end up repeated over time. Again, a technique for stage to adjust for the limitations of the medium, but just seems lazy when actually filmed. Sound design is also pretty standard for early sound films, in that it doesn't really have much sound, or at least doesn't have much of a score. The actual musical numbers are pretty nice, with the Marx Brothers even showing their skills as musicians. But the songs are pretty interchangeable, sort of like a review production, rather than something more tightly wound into the story. And even so, there's not really much of a story to tell, even without the music. Animal Crackers is carried pretty well by its jokes and one-liners, but that's still only half of the movie. And it's only half of the movie that's worth seeing in the end. Animal Crackers. Victor Heerman, 1930. 2.5 stars. I'd say it's still worth giving a watch. At the very least, it's light viewing when you don't want to put a lot of effort into your movie night. Anyways, that's it for me tonight. If you liked this review, leave it a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. As always, subscribe to the channel for more reviews. I guess this answers my question before about what Broadway shows were like back in the 20s and 30s. Turns out they're made for larger audiences. Who'd have thought?